My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is in the world, wherever you're tuning in from. It is just past midnight Central European time, so that is morning officially. It's just past 11 o'clock where Scott is in sunny Manchester.
Yeah, we'll say sunny for now. Like it's freezing, but it is sunny. So
Some people might think I'm a bit pretentious with these sunglasses, and I understand why. I remember one person once said there were two types of people that wear sunglasses indoors: blind people and morons. And I'm not blind, so let's take them off. How you doing, Scott?
yeah, I'm doing all right, John. Thanks very much for inviting me back on. I've got a question for you quickly right off
Go
the
on.
bat about the intro for
Okay.
Talking Tennis. Um, have you traded out? Have you traded some out, or is that everyone that you've got so far? And if it is everyone that you've got so far, are you just going to
No,
extend it
I
into?
love that question, and it is something that I hadn't considered until about August,
Okay.
when I started to think to myself, I'm a bit pissed off with Laura Siegemund, not because of any encore antiques, because she was one of the original sort of two or three people, Liam Brody being another one that
Sure.
we sort of interviewed and were good fun, good interviews. But Laura, I think I liked about four things of hers on Instagram. I think I tagged her in two or three things and she just ignored it. And
Okay.
also when I did after the second that interview finished, she said to me, "Oh, where can I see this interview?" I said I'd tag her on Instagram, blah blah blah. Follow us on YouTube and all that other jazz. And I've not heard from her since. And it looks like I'm a bit of a stalker. I think once she told me in this interview that she loved the dates in Bacon. We were talking about tapas in Spain because the tournament was in Madrid. So I was in a tapas place a few weeks later and I saw dates and bacon on the menu. So I think I took a picture and I tagged her in that, and she didn't accept the tag. And yeah, so I think she's been demoted, Scott.
Should be,
Yeah,
should be also that's how we're gonna do it going forward. It's gonna be like a hierarchical structure, and like you're just gonna have to like weigh up who's worthy of being in the Talking Tennis. I think that's the best way to go, because
we've
otherwise you're gonna get to the point where like the intro is like 20 minutes long.
yeah, of
So
course, yeah, and that's ridiculous. And
yeah.
the other thing as well is I think now that we're getting a bit big for our boots, and we're in the
Mm.
position to ditch people, or relegate people, probably like the Premier League and the Championship,
Sure.
etc. So she's gone down to the Championship for now, but this is an up and down league situation. She can get
If
promoted.
you if you if you get if she if you happen to run into her again, if you get another interview with her, maybe
Oh
she
yeah,
can. Yeah, okay. So it's like an
it's
addition process really to.
and forgiveness and all that, that helps us. I'm sure it's on her mind, and
Sure.
the next, that may have been explained that one or two of her losses, but obviously she's on a bit of a good run in Australia at the moment. But in terms of the other thing that concerns me though is that I was saying to Damien the other day that Jaime Faria, of course,
Mm.
winning his, qualifying for the first slam, winning his first round, playing against Novak. People know who he is. Even Brad Gilbert is aware of who he is. So you know that you're in the upper echelons of tennis if Brad Gilbert become aware of you. Obviously, still John McEnroe doesn't know who he is
No
because
idea. No idea.
just
Yeah,
unknowns.
he has
Yeah.
no clue. Yeah.
But I said to Damien the other day, I said, now that was when I think it was when Jaime won the second set. I said, do you think Jaime will still talk to us? Because yeah, I think listen,
It's a
I
tough
know
one.
he will, because first of all, he's a good lad, but secondly,
Mm.
I sent him I think I tagged him on Instagram with I
Mm.
think it was him walking out down the tunnel after the loss to Novak, and his head's up, and you can see that he's gutted to lose the match, but I was like head held high and something like that, and he said thanks, mate, and Yeah, see you on the
You know,
clay.
he's not you know, he's not forgotten. He's not, you know, he's not, you know, gotten too big for his boots or anything like that. He knows where he came from, and he came from talking tennis, really. So
Scott, how do you feel? I'm going to tell you something, for example, with Jaime, and then you can tell me how you feel. When I'd interviewed Jaime 3 or 4 times by now, and I was in Valencia, a challenger, and
Mm.
I was right up close. I was basically where the photographers were. Okay, so
Yep.
at the challengers, there's a bit more flexibility, and with the media and stuff. A lot of times, the media, especially if you're written or even sort of YouTubers like me, they sort of stick you in the stands, and you can't go where the photographers are. But there, I could. Now I'm literally right next to him as he's getting his towel, you know. And I was talking to him an hour before the match, and I'll be talking to him an hour after, and all that sort of stuff. But I sort of just look the other way because I don't want to distract him or think that I'm some sort of weird stalker either. You know, I don't want to be the guy. You know, suddenly I'm like right next to him as he gets his towel. All right, Shiny. You know, he's facing break point. I don't know how you feel about it because obviously you've had Liam Brody on the show, you've had
Sure.
Judy Murray as well. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there a sort of a part of you as well? It's like, you know, I don't want to, you know, I've sent Tony Nadal 3 WhatsApps and I've got no response, for example. Do I keep going? What's the?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Although you have, yeah, to be fair to you, you have spoken to Tony Nadal, haven't you?
Yeah,
You
exactly. Yeah. No,
you
so
know.
I, I've interviewed him for
Mm,
25 minutes. I then sent him a message about 6 months later about a possible other interview, and he
mm,
sends me a voice message back saying, "Hi, John. Sorry, I can't do it this week because I think he was in Valencia himself, and I was in
sure.
Mallorca. So you know, I was like, wow, this is quite cool. I bumped into him at the Mallorca 250, one of the grass court tournaments, and I say bumped into him. I sort of saw him and walked up to him, and we actually spoke for about 45 seconds, and he went, "Sorry, I don't remember your name." I said, "Don't worry, it's okay." And I said, "John." He said, "Oh, John, you know." And then we continued. But in the 8 months since then, I think I've sent him 3 WhatsApps on 3 separate occasions. One was the day, or maybe I might have waited a day or two until after the announcement, but was
Mm,
like a Rafa retirement one. Another
sure.
one was when I was going to Mallorca. So, but then how many do you? I mean, I'm not sending them on the same day. I'm sending them every 3 months.
You know what? It's actually an interesting question because I think yeah, like you know, when you do find yourself with, I guess, like, I suppose, like, I should say, like, you find yourself in a, you know, privileged position where you have like the contact, or like you've been able to speak with someone, and then you do happen to have a somewhat of a, like, I guess, like, chattable, talkable relationship
Yeah.
with someone in the industry, etc. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to know where exactly you know, draw the line, so to speak, or like where, like, professional, you know,
Yeah,
go.
right. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let's go. How's the hair looking, John? Just
Nah,
briefly, like,
pretty disheveled, but then I'm pretty disheveled too. It's late at
yeah,
night and
absolutely.
we've got
But
like 12 viewers, so it's okay.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
all right.
I'm literally.
When it bounces up in the next 5 minutes to, like, you know,
Oh yeah, then
200,
go
well,
get a
yeah,
brush. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, in answer to your question, yeah, I don't really know what the answer is. For me, I don't know if my answer should be the way that you go about it. Like, if you're really persistent about, you know, wanting to chat with somebody, wanting to have that person on the show, wanting to interview that person, so the answer that I'll give you is not the same one as that what I end up doing myself. What I end up doing is just leaving it and just never contacted that person. The answer I'm going to give you is just keep persisting, for sure. Everything. No, oh, no, honestly though, like, everything that I hear is like, I mean, not like every day, John. Don't be messaging those people every
Yeah,
day, but like, you know, maybe, like, you know, what, once every few weeks, just, you know, repeatedly, just, hi there, just wondering if you'll have a moment, just wondering if you have a moment. Yeah, because I think that's the way that you should do it in media, to be honest. So that's my advice for you on that. Sure.
If um if you see
Oh my God.
Andy Murray like on your travels at a tennis tournament,
Oh my gosh.
let's just say you're at Queens or
Mm.
Wimbledon, and you sort of, are you getting him for a selfie? Are you okay? So are you just ignoring him? Are you
It's
sort of saying hello? Are you stopping for a selfie? Are you stopping for a selfie and then asking for, can you come on the show sometime, as in like your show, the Andy Murray Musings podcast?
sure.
What are you doing?
You know what? It's a really interesting question that I actually have thought about quite a bit. Obviously, it's what would happen if I ever actually met Andy Murray. And now, like, so obviously, I've been able to speak with him on a Zoom call before, and I will say,
Okay.
like, I spoke to him for like 5 minutes,
Yeah,
and
was that the gum on teeth thing?
for sure, yeah, and I don't remember it at all. People ask, you know, what it was like, and I haven't went back to watch it because I just cannot, and I don't remember it at all. It passed in such a blur. Um, and I think I asked him like one question at a press conference once, and my voice was like shaking. So if I actually met him, I honestly don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I could, honestly. I don't know if I could actually walk up to him and be like, Andy, can I get a photo, or anything like that. I don't know if I would be able to like compose myself. Claire, who's my co-host on Murray Musings, has done it, and has that video right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Has done it and asked for a selfie and got a photo taken. Peter has spoken to him a little bit, and got him to record something for Murray Musings. He does our outro. It is Andy Murray that does our outro for Murray Musings episode. So if you go to the end of any Murray Musings episode, you don't need to sit through entire episodes. Don't worry. If you skip right to the end, you will hear Andy Murray doing our outro for Murray Musings. So Peter has done it too. Peter's actually spoken to him in length. For me, I don't know. I think it would go to pieces, honestly. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is I am proper weird, John. I'm a proper
Yeah.
weird.
You see, I'm now in a position like so. I can't really do the selfie thing anymore.
No.
Not with this, but I did it
Mm.
before. I saw Sebi Korda, took a selfie with him, took a selfie with Tsitsipas. This is both in France that I saw them. And in fact, Stefanos liked my. Actually, this is probably not a good endorsement if Stefanos likes your tweet, but I wrote, you know, I did a little pun. I wrote passing shot and an image of Steph and I, and he liked it. So
Are you because obviously you've done, you know, you're growing your audience like very impressively, John, and you've now spoken to people, you know, big notable people in the industry. You've spoken to players. You've met Tony Nadal. Like even him, like I don't know if I would be quite intimidated by him.
He can be a bit intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit.
Did you
He
find
was
that?
at the end of the interview. So he actually said something right at the beginning. I gave him a right. So we sit down. We're at the Nadal Academy in Mallorca, and it's outside like this cafe. And I sit down and I give him the mic, and I've got a mic, so we've got one mic. As I give him the mic, he said, and I speak Spanish, by the way, but I still don't know to this day what he said, and I've even played it to Spanish speakers as well, like natives, and they don't know what he said. But basically, he takes the mic and he goes like this. So I've got my mic, and I go, there's your mic, and he goes blah, 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 blah. Like he doesn't like the idea of holding a mic, and I don't know what he says, but his body language is like that. We then have a 23-minute interview. In the first 3 minutes, I mean, I'm basically talking about Rafa for 18 minutes, and after 2 minutes, he's saying, I'm not his coach, and I'm like, I didn't say it, but I was like, I do know that you've not been coaching him for 6 or 7 years now, since obviously Carlos took over. But yeah, he was like this. So I was like, now, okay. But then things got a lot better, and by the end of the interview, after the camera goes down, we're having a nice social chat for 5 minutes, actually about football. And about his brother. So this is another uncle of Rafa's, nearly signed for Man United in the 90s.
Okay.
You won't like him, by the way, because he missed a penalty against England.
Well,
so
I mean,
Spain lose to England at Euro 96.
Yeah,
Nadal's brother and Rafa's uncle's partly responsible.
But there you go. But that's good though. Like that's what it's about. That's what journalism is about. It's building that kind of relationship with people, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So I guess my question to you is somebody who obviously you've been a tennis fan for years and years and years, but now to find yourself in that position, like, you don't seem overawed. You don't seem like somebody who would get nervous doing interviews like this.
A little bit, but it gets better.
It does.
Yeah.
Just with practice,
Yeah, like the first time you interview ex-player, yeah, for sure. I mean, even with Tony, I regret it now, and I don't mind saying this. So this is more gushing rather than anxiety. But the bit just before the video begins, I think the first 30 seconds, I say something like, This is an interview with Tony Nadal. We talk about this, that, and this is just me talking to the camera and doing it as like a prelude. And within that, I say something along the lines of, it was an honor to speak to him, and I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I did doing it. And I just thought that's a bit like now, a year later, 18 months later, that's a bit too much. I don't need to do that. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I regret it. But that's not anxiety. But the anxiety thing, no, for sure. Just, I tell you, here's one who's a bit intimidating and can put the nerves into you as well. What's the Fabio Fognini?
Oh my God, man! Yeah, that's quite a recent one, right?
Yeah, a couple of recent ones. Well, the first one, I tried to get him after the quarterfinal. This is a challenger, and he's like, no. And I'm like, it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not in a hurry to get the last bus home or something. Anyway, but still, that was that, and that was how he won, by the way. So then after the semi-final, he's like, but just a minute, like 1 minute, like length of time. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. And make sure we do it now, because I can't hang around, So in my anxiety, I get it. I am sort of ready, but not quite ready. And in the end, the audio sucks. After the final, of which he's won, oh, he's in a great mood, and he gives me 2 minutes, but still it is 2 minutes. But he was good copy, and I enjoyed it. Although I guess as a Murray fan, maybe you have different opinions of Fabio.
I think in the end, they know how. Did they
You
not
like
make up
bad
for him?
guys in a way. And he's actually a good guy, but I mean, sometimes a bit of a bad guy on the court. But you like these Mavericks, no?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if we were going to talk about. I don't know what the plan for this hour or so chat with.
I've
with
made
you,
some
John.
notes, but let me tell you now, there's like 5 things in the notes, like 5 different topics, and we haven't addressed one of them yet. And
Oh, that's great. No, but that's great. That's fantastic. Because that's every chat with me, John. I'm sure on this topic, but like Danielle Collins, her situation today. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on this, John. But for me, I understand why maybe that kind of thing irritates people or she gets on people's nerves. But I think there's something about her that is so grating and so irritating that I think it's everything about her, like her attitude, her voice is quite grating, and her attitude is obviously very overconfident, very, very confident. I love it. Love everything about it. And like what she did today was so like extra and so over the
that is
top and
funny
so
what she did today,
unnecessary. Brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when in football too, but tennis as well. The Taylor Fritz thing at the end of that match in Paris a few years ago, and I loved it today as well. With Daniel, I have sort of 4 or 5 layers, let's say. So the first encounter I had with her, because she's someone who could be intimidating too, and here's another little bit of anxiety for you. The end of the press conference at the Billie Jean King Cup in 2023, the press conference ends. And the press person from the tournament says, "John, are you ready for your one?" Oh, actually, yeah, someone says it anyway. Are you ready for your 1-to-1 with Danielle? I was like, "What 1-to-1?" I didn't know I was having one. So because they didn't tell me, and then they're annoyed with me, and I'm like, "Well, it's like me starting this show and go." Well, I'm bloody angry Jack isn't here. And then Jack says, "Yeah, but you never asked me to come on the show, So and so they hadn't asked me. So now I've got this situation. So you can imagine my panic. Now, fortunately, my camera and stuff was only a few meters away, but I did still run to get that camera and run back. Anyway, it's actually my mic I wanted to get. My camera was actually in the room, but I had to go get my mic and stuff and set that up. Funny enough, the camera is actually running because I've already pressed start on it to sort of save some time and make sure I don't miss anything. And actually, I catch the sort of bit that I'm not there for in it's only 15 seconds I'm out of the room. And she says to the US press team guy, says, "Oh, we've got some background stuff going on."
Sorry, yeah, my partner's in the background, just head to bed.
Yeah, don't worry. I thought we were going to have like that BBC moment with the kids.
She says hi. She says
hi. Anyway, and so she says, she's actually super cool. She says to the press guy, "Don't worry, he's just going to get his stuff." And I think she'd won that day. That always is a big, big difference, Anyway, I come back and I have a good 2 or 3 minutes, a bit more. In fact, during the interview, I said something like, "How did you feel when you were facing breakpoint?" I think it was, whatever. And she says, "Well, how do you think?" And she said it in a nice way. "What are you thinking when you're watching me face a breakpoint?" I said, "Well, I'm nervous as hell if it's someone that, because I would be. That's how, if I'm 15-30 down, I'd be getting anxious never in the first set, never mind towards the end of the match." And she's like, "Well, yeah, I guess I do feel a bit, but I do change a bit." Anyway, so I was like, "Gwen," and to be honest with you, I'd met her then 3 or 4 times, mostly in press conferences thereafter, and always found a good copy. But there's a twist, Scott. In Strasbourg, I asked her if there was anything that would make her change her mind about retiring. Okay,
Okay.
last year. And actually, she gave a really good full-on response. It was the first time. She then did an interview on TV a couple of weeks later in the US that obviously got a lot more traction. But she basically gave the first real explanation of why she was retiring, about the
Sure.
pregnancy or inability to
Yeah.
come. Actually, it was a great thing, and I thought it was really nice how she was, because I didn't say, "Is this why you retiring?" But she just came
Sure.
out with it, and it's great that she could openly talk about it. But about 3 or 4 days later, she did an op-ed, I think on the BBC website. Some journalist, she said, had basically had the temerity to ask her,
No.
like, why would she retire? Why would she change her mind? Now, she doesn't name me, but I know she doesn't know necessarily my name or even talking tennis, not yet anyway. But basically, it's me that she's writing about. And I'm thinking, I don't think that was such a bad question. You gave a fantastic answer to that. You didn't have to,
Yeah.
but I wasn't. I knew about her condition. I was very anxious. That was
Mm,
something I was super nervous about when I did one-to-one.
yeah.
Is talking about Australia and having periods away from the sport that she'd had because of her illness and stuff. And I was super anxious about that. But I'm very aware of it and trying to be as sensitive as I possibly can. We all make mistakes. But anyway, in Strasbourg, I asked her, and then she decides to do an op-ed. So yeah, it's
You just,
kind of got.
I think it's difficult though. Like with that, with things like that. I think there's certain questions, and I think that, to be honest, I feel like that's one that you would almost have to ask, right? A little bit
And she's
about.
changed her mind, by
Do you
the
know what I
way,
mean?
which is fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the question wasn't irrelevant or insensitive or bad.
Mm,
But there we go. But I love her tennis. I love all that other stuff that you mentioned as well.
mm.
And but let's just say she's got a little bit further away from being a friend of the show.
Maybe, hey, again though, like maybe she'll remember you if you ever, chat with her again.
I
Who
had a
knows,
bad
right?
week in Strasbourg in general, Scott. I said to Clara Burel, I said, "Well, your first round in the French Open is going to be, I forget who it was now, Beck's playing." And she goes, "Oh, I don't want to know who I'm playing." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Awkward.
Yeah,
Sorry, ruined
exactly.
that for you.
And then there was Madison Keys as well. I upset her because I asked her if she still thinks about the losses as much as she does the wins, because she's had a couple of semi-final losses at slams, and there was one
Yeah.
against Sabalenka in New York, I remember a couple of years ago. And yeah.
Yeah, there we
Oh
go.
well.
It's difficult. It's difficult. You never quite know. But yeah, in terms of liking my my attitude in tennis, for sure, absolutely. I'm somebody who loves it. And I think tennis generally, obviously, there's a line for sure. Like obviously, there's a line in the sand, especially I think when it comes to if people are like physically intimidating or physically, yeah, like pushing, etc. As soon as it comes to that kind of thing, then it's a problem. But I think generally speaking, like let's see some emotion, let's see some anger, let's see some riling up of the crowd, right? So yeah, let's see some WWE in that's what it was, right? That's what I think. She looked exactly like when she was doing it to the crowd. I was like, this could be in WWE, like
Yeah.
Let's,
What about
yeah.
oh, I've got the Clara Burel one. I'm just going to play it now. It's less
Okay.
than a minute, so I'll play it to you
That's good.
now. Just one in English. The draw for the French Open was made today. You're going to be playing Kalinskaya.
Oh. I just said I don't want to know.
Should we do that, Vinny? If that was your only question, is it tennis?
I mean, just okay,
No,
just
I don't want to understand that. I don't want to know.
no problem.
Yeah.
We can move on, but
Thank you.
good luck.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Stefan?
Oui,
Let
How
me
did
tell
you-
you those.
How did you feel?
Said I just said it, but she said it in French. You see,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
didn't. No, if she said it in English, I'd have been an idiot. But
For sure.
I mean, it's 5 days before the first. This is in Strasbourg, or maybe 4 days before.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange.
A little bit,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do know there is some players that just don't want to know, right? Like
No.
that
Yeah, I think
don't. But like,
Manarino's one of those.
but like, it's not that many, right? It's not that many players that don't want to. I feel like the majority of players want to know ASAP, right?
Yeah, and then you talk to your coach about it. How are we going to beat X
Yeah,
player?
for sure. Yeah.
You know, and also just to build up, because you could be playing anyone from the 200 in the world that you know nothing about to playing Serena, or Irina Sabalenka, and you might want to be ready for her serve, if you like.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. Did she win the first round match?
I think she might have lost. I'm gonna check. That's a good question. I think
Yeah,
I
and
remember at the time when I saw the result, but
if she won, like, come on, you could claim that you were a benefit.
Let me see. She lost 7-6, 7-5. You know why she lost in such a just two? It looks like just a couple of points in it, right? If she'd have known, if she'd have let me, I think I did. Oh, I did. No, she did know. So it's the other way around, isn't it? Maybe she lost because she knew.
Oh, she didn't. Yeah, she didn't want to know. Yeah, she
Yeah,
didn't
she
want
didn't
to know.
want to know. I
And you
told
ruined
her.
it.
She carried that into.
But like, how does that ever benefit anyone? Like, really,
She
come
was.
on.
It was during the first set tiebreak, and she's like just getting ready, and she's thinking, "Oh
Oh,
yeah,
if I didn't know who I was
that
playing
journalist." Yeah,
if I didn't know, I think it's a look that she gives you straight away.
I
Like,
know.
yeah, man, where you're just sitting there like,
Yeah.
oh, really? I think you handled it well, though. You handled it well.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the guy who's comparing the press conference, or whatever, he said, "Do you want to ask another one?" And I think in the end, I sort of said, "Nah, it's all right. We can just."
Yeah. Just leave.
Yeah.
Let's
Let
just
me tell you
leave.
this: it does sound. It's actually looks and sounds a lot worse because I can tell you now that the press conference did go on after the camera's not showing that, and she's like, "It's okay, don't worry,
Oh, right, yeah, fair enough.
She was fine.
Yeah.
She didn't go and write an op-ed about it on the BBC like Daniel Collins.
No, she didn't that you know of, but here's one
Yeah.
from CNN that she wrote.
All right, let's get into a couple of things that I have made notes of. First of all, I saw you tweeting about Medvedev today losing and
Absolutely.
just how rough that is. First of all, are you a Medi fan? Because I love the guy. He's great copy and a lot of fun. You like that he's a maverick too in his own way, and
Absolutely.
and obviously he's going through a rough period at the moment, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm a fan of him for sure. His game is so so ugly. It's so ugly, and I love it. I do really like it. I do really
Yeah, me
like it.
too.
It just looks terrible. Like, it looks horrendous, and I'm obsessed with it. So, yeah, I would say I'm a fan. He as time goes by, I don't know if I'm willing to completely rule out a possibility that he wins another major. I do think I'm getting there, though. I do think I'm getting there, and I think
Yeah.
today was almost indicative of that. His record at the Australian Open is brilliant, but also awful. Like, at the same time, and I
Yeah.
say that as an Andy Murray fan,
Mhm.
who has had his fair share of heartbreak at the Australian Open, but also, like, I don't know, it's one of these things where you're like, if somebody's reached the final of a major multiple times but been unable to get over the line, like, his record at the Australian Open is brilliant, but also devastating. So yeah, I mean, it's just brutal. So yeah, I would say I'm absolutely a fan. This match, I'm almost tempted to say it's a bad matchup for him in this regard, because his opponent was playing so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know if he has another one of these majors in him. He's never gonna. I mean, for sure, he's never gonna win Wimbledon. Like, I'm not sure he ever was. I'm not sure he
Or the
ever was.
French, or
I
the
know,
French.
or the French, of course. So he's only got two real places where he's gonna do well and get over the line. And yeah, so am I, Claire. So am I. I'm a fan for sure. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if he has another one in him. I don't know if you agree, John.
Yeah, no, I do, and I can tell you that if you think about it, the day of that Australian. So first of all, he loses in Australia in the final to Novak. Pretty
Yes.
comfortable win. I mean, you'd have probably if this interview had been in at the end of 2021, you'd still be saying that the Australian Open has bad memories for him because he got lost so badly in that final to Novak in a match
Yeah.
that probably many of us went into thinking it's 50-50, but in
Yeah.
the end it was comfortable 3 sets. But things are going to get worse for him because he's going to get to the Australian Open final playing probably the best tennis of his career, from the US Open, beating Novak in that final in straight sets, up until that day, January day, or end of January, I think it was, of 2022, and the day he plays Rafa, and he's 2 sets to love up, love 40. And that's a bit of a line in the sand moment in his career. That moment is a line in the sand moment, because that moment you're saying, will he win another grand? And it goes like this, Scott. That moment, will he win another Grand Slam? You're like 98%. You know, there's
Mm.
99% chance he's winning, or there's 97% chance he's winning this match, and there's a 98% chance he wins another slam. Let's say
Yeah.
something, if that makes sense. Obviously, 3 hours later, or whatever it was, he ends up losing in the brutal manner that he does. And then suddenly his relationship with the Australian Open is even worse than it was the year before.
Yeah.
So what then happens over the next year, actually, is, you know, I think he has a rough 2022.
Yeah.
But in 2023, there's some signs of a comeback. I think it was 2023. He wins, or it might be in 2022, wins Vienna and whatever. He comes out of that period. And then finally, he's in another Australian Open final. And the day of that final against Sinner a year ago, I'm thinking this match is probably 60-40 in Yannick's favor, mainly just because of Mehdi's run to that final with all those 5-setters. And I thought that could affect him on the day. And I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I was probably from 98% love 40. I'm now at 60-40 that 60-40 against that he wins that day. And probably to win a slam altogether, I was probably 50-50. It was a good question to put out there, which I think I was putting out there about a year ago. You know, just before that semifinal, will he win another slam? He's 2 sets to love up. And you're probably thinking, well, there's a really good chance he wins another slam. And of course, he ends up losing that match. And then afterwards, it's just year on year, it's just going down. And now I'm at probably about 25% that he wins another slam.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think that's perfect analysis of the situation, and you know, that was perfect, Joe. And I just don't know. You know, there's so many younger guys coming through that we've seen at this very tournament. And obviously you have Carlos and Yannick who are dominating.
Scott, just a second, Jake. I'm not sure that's relevant. I don't quite know.
Oh,
a little cheekiness.
Do we need this? 11:30 and 9.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if he has it. I don't know if he has it in him. To be honest with you, and it's a shame because I mean he's had a great career. You know, arguably deserved another. Not as much as anybody can deserve a major that they can't win or they don't win. He arguably deserved a second one. And yeah, I mean, he'll always have the US Open for sure. But
thank goodness he does. You know, a bit like Dominic Thiem in that sense as well.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
They're all going for it now. Look.
Oh my God! Oh, Kokkinakis. He was. I was supporting him the other day as well.
Yeah, because him and Murray had a classic 5-set, didn't they? And
absolutely.
I think him and Murray get on well, and they got on well afterwards as well. Even though
I think so, for sure. I think they're still on good terms. There's an interview. They played doubles together actually once. Sorry, now we're tangenting off wild. They played doubles together. And I swear it was at like Indian Wells, and they did an interview together like prior to it. And I've been trying to find that interview clip for ages and ages and ages. So if anybody watching this, or if anybody knows, can find a clip of the interview where Murray and Kokkinakis did an interview together, and I think it was at Indian Wells. Yeah, let me know because I'm trying to find that clip, and it's not on YouTube anywhere that I can see. But yeah, sorry, now we're tangenting off wildly. Shall we go back to the Australian Open?
Yeah, no, brilliant. No tangents are great. This sort of pre-match show, we don't sort of do too much of the heavy lifting and analysis.
Sure.
We sort of go for tangents. It's great. But we can talk a bit about obviously Andy and Novak. Will he obviously lead Novak to slam number 25? I'm going to begin though by looking a little bit back on that Faria match, and yeah, I'm not sure about Novak's level right now. I don't know what you're thinking.
I thought that match. Yeah, it's such an interesting match. Because like even like I'm saying this as a huge Novak fan and as a huge Andy fan, I'm not entirely sure where, like, because like obviously Novak played well enough to win it. I mean, clearly because he did. And there were some fitness problems, for sure.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, actually, that's not really been spoken about much since, because I think there was a few other storylines there. But yeah, and I remember that in the first and second set. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I'm still not entirely sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously he started playing better, and his his opponent's level dip. But I'm still not like really sure how he pushed through and won, because it's not like he dominated the final two sets or anything like that. It's not like he played
I think he played 5 or 6 out of 10 tennis throughout. I think Jaime Faria played 8 out of 10 for half an hour, which is why he took that set.
Faria was on fire, like so good, and even in the final few sets where he went on to lose, he was still absolutely ripping shots. Do you know what I mean? And of course, Novak managed to up his intensity, I guess. But like, I ended up watching it being like, I feel like, I almost feel like Novak, his level still isn't here, like at all. And he's probably going to win this match somehow, but it's not like he's, I don't know. He managed to win the fight, but also like didn't seem up for it too much. And it's fascinating because we've seen Novak in these situations before, and we'll say this. And tomorrow, like as has been said in the comments here, a few people, I've seen more people than ever before being like, I think he might lose tomorrow. I think he might.
Yeah.
And I don't think he will. I think he will win for sure. But yeah, for sure. I think Andy's got some work to be doing, and I do think this is why he's brought Andy in for a bit of something. And I'm not saying he's suddenly going to start playing super aggressive or anything like that, as some people have been wanting to do. But I think in terms of like this coaching setup, I think, and I've been thinking about this the last like day or so. Andy hasn't been brought in for Novak to win the first few rounds. Like he's not here for that. Because Novak can do the first few rounds playing like he did the other day. Like he can do it. He can do it. Andy's here for when he gets to Carlos. When he gets to Alcaraz, when he gets to a Sinner, when he gets to a match that, previously we would have backed him 100% to win, and now we're like, okay, actually no, we think he might lose. So this is why that's why Andy's here. So as long as Andy can get Novak to those matches, then, or as long as Novak himself can get to those matches, that's when we'll see if Andy can do his job. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. What do you rate his chances tomorrow, Joe?
I rate them 60-40 in his favor.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, in Novak's favor.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But still, that's not high.
No, it's not high at all. I think some people are suggesting 50-50, but yeah, 60-40. I have so much. I'm so convinced that he's not winning the tournament because of a few reasons. One is the draw, because just statistically, he's got a 60-40 tomorrow. He'll have a 55-45 if he plays Lehecka in the fourth round.
Oh my God.
Then the odds start to go against him, because then it's Carlos and it's probably 60-40 against. I mean, it does depend on how the next two rounds go. If Novak plays the best tennis he's played for 2 years and Carlos looks shaky, that can easily change. But let's just say it is as it is right now. He plays Carlos and it's probably a 60-40 against, as in favor of Carlos. And then he'll play Yannick, I think, or is it Zverev in the semis?
I thought it might be Yannick in the final.
Zverev in the semis.
Yeah.
So, and that would also be probably a 60-40, even a 70-30 against. And then it would be Sinner in the final, and that would be an 80-20 against, if you like. Now, on top of all that, I think I've seen Novak play well less than 5 times in the last 13 months. One of them, of course, being against Carlos Alcaraz. He had quite a good run in one of the Asian tournaments. And he did have 1 or 2 moments in the French Open, I think, despite the injury that obviously he had at that time. But that's it. So, and he had 9 losses last year, and 1 loss this year, Opelka. So 10 losses in 13 months. And on that list, and I still can't quite get it all in my head, but I know that there's an Alcaraz and there's 2 Sinner losses in there, in that 10, I think. But the other 7 include your friend Casper Ruud, Thomas-Machac in Geneva, Tabilo in Rome, De Minaur at the United Cup at the beginning of last year. And I know De Minaur was a top 10 player now, but he wasn't then. And there's Nardi in Indian Wells. So there's quite a few of those names they're not Novak Djokovic losses, right? And it's 13 months now. So, and it's also 13 months in his mid to late 30s. It's not 13 months in his 20s where, he had a couple of years, I remember, where he was a bit sticky. So, yeah, all of that put together makes me, therefore, clip a video of me saying yesterday, basically, he is not winning the Australian Open. And that's the title on the
And
video.
you fully think.
I mean, I'm going to look like a complete idiot in 8 days from now. And for sure, Scott, you're going to be desperate to
I'll be atting you. I'll be atting you, John.
Of course, yeah. Of course, and that's fine.
Yeah, it is interesting for sure. And yeah, like it's one of these things where you're like, he's gonna come up against Alcaraz, and like how how is he going to win the match? Like, how is he going to beat Alcaraz? Do you know what I mean? And it's been so rare, and this has just been a steady process. And I know he did it in the Olympic final, but that almost felt like, give me this at least, Carlos, before I go, right? Before my time's done. And yeah, it's such a rare occasion to find yourself just wondering how. And I never imagined that I would be like, how is Novak going to beat somebody at the Australian Open? Like, we wouldn't even have been saying this 12 months ago, would we?
That's
We
nuts.
would never
Yeah,
have been
yeah,
saying that 12 months ago. But
yeah.
how is he going to do it? And I don't know. But I really hope that Andy will find out something to tell him.
I mean, he's losing these sets like he was 2
I
or
know.
3 years ago, but you always thought he'll be fine, and he
And he
was
can't,
fine.
and I do know, and I'll tweet some stuff out, no doubt, being like, oh, people are doubting Novak, and he's won, but like doubting him at your own peril, and like he's lost sets like this before, and he has. But I do agree with people who are like, but he can't afford to be losing those sets now at his age. Like, he can't afford to be
Yeah.
doing this. And yeah, they do. Yeah, beating Novak have little tissues on him for sure. Like, and he's going to be entering that match with Carlos, and I'm sure he'll be trying to remember the Olympic final, but it'll come to his head I mean, I still can't get my head around that Wimbledon final. I don't know about you, Joe, but that Wimbledon final, like, just got absolutely
Yeah,
crushed.
but that because of that match, despite the fact they were on completely different surfaces, that I thought he would also lose the Olympic final, and he went on and took that. But the Olympic final is still one match, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But 7 matches and the next 4, of course, we don't know. Alcaraz or Zverev or Sinner could go out, and that might change things. But the next 4 matches look pretty daunting in one way, shape, or form. So, or the next 5, even third, fourth quarterfinals. So 5 matches. Yeah.
What do you think that Andy can do for him? What do you think that Andy needs to be telling him? Maybe you think there's nothing he can tell.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he can be. But then the only thing I will say is that at least him and Andy on the day of a huge quarterfinal of a Grand Slam or semi-final or final, Andy has gravitas. Andy
sure.
has, I'm sure they've had chats about their own matches, about what they were thinking now. Because even Novak has said that when I do retire, we can finally let all the cats out the bag. What were you thinking down set point, or I think Rafa had a set point against Novak, for example, at the French Open. What are you thinking? How are you playing that point? When you turn away and Rafa doesn't do it to the opponent, but he's sort of, you on TV we see it.
Yeah.
And maybe the opponent has an idea, but what were you thinking in this moment? What about the night before? Did you sleep okay? Did you talk to your coach about me? What were my strengths and weaknesses that worried you and excited you, and so on and so forth? And Andy can do some of that. Andy, of course, would have played some of these guys. He's played Alcaraz, I think, 2 or 3 times. Did he win their first match? Did he?
Yeah, he did. He did well. Yes, he did, John.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Stop the count. You should have said stop the count.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop there. I think they only played
3 times, maybe.
I was going to say twice. No,
Oh,
you
might
could be
be
right.
right.
No. You could be right. I know that he lost the next match like a week later or like 2 weeks later to him in straight sets. And I don't know if they played again. I think they might have. Carlos definitely beat him if so. But yeah, I think you're right in terms of like I think Andy provides something that's so rare for Novak.
You are
and
right.
it is
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah, I didn't think they'd played again. And it is somebody who understands, right? Somebody who understands. And yes, of course, he's had other ex players. He's had Becker. He's had Ivanisevic. But nobody who understands from that generation. Like, do you know what I mean? From his generation, nobody can relate as much as Andy Murray can to him. And Andy obviously went through his own struggles with this exact thing. Like, well, not this exact thing, because obviously Novak's not as physically encumbered as Andy was. But if and I think it's almost so important to like know that like if Andy could be doing what Novak's doing right now, he would still be out there. He would be going out there and he would be happy reaching third, fourth rounds, but feeling physically okay to do so. And I think he would do it. And I think almost, and I've said this before, I think Andy is almost like viscerally living through Novak. Nobody had a similar game to Andy Murray as Novak Djokovic did. And so now he's got the chance to like continue, like, in tennis in some capacity, like by using the one part of his body that is still functioning really, really highly, and it is his brain, his tennis brain. So if anybody can find a way for Novak to find something, it will be Andy Murray. But because we are all not Andy Murray,
Say again, sorry.
None of us are Andy Murray, so we
No.
can't come up with the answer, right? We can't come up with the answer. But if there's anything, then Andy will surely find it, and if there's not, then we'll see the result of it when or if he plays Alcaraz or Sinner. So
I'm just sharing this tweet as well that you've got. I knew that there would be a tweet that amused me within 2 or 3 tweets, and this is the one that amused me most. And yeah, just and that's a funny one because coming back to some of the stuff we spoke about at the beginning is,
sure.
I saw Rafa in the gym, for example, about 3 months ago, just before the Davis Cup, but I can't talk. I mean, I could say hello.
Did you not go up and say hi?
No,
you didn't do it.
No, I didn't know.
Were you too scared? Were you a bit nervous?
A little bit, yeah. And
I know you're a big Rafa fan. Rafa's probably your favorite player of all time, would you say? Or?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean,
really?
back in the day that I had sort of been through Becker and I liked Agassi a bit and some of the other British players as well in the late 90s and early 2000s, and Andy as well to some extent, certainly at the beginning of Andy's career. But yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I saw him in the gym. And first of all, I don't know if there's a. I just had a quick look for it, but couldn't find it. There's a really awkward selfie that someone, or a really awkward picture that someone has. He's just basically looking really glum next to some.
Yeah, I know the one.
You know the one, yeah.
Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't.
You didn't want to be doing that.
No, but I potentially would have said hello if we'd made eye contact. But I also thought I want to play it cool, so I would even sort of walk away from him. So let's just say I'm on a machine and he's kind of getting a bit closer to me from what he's doing. I would then leave that machine and sort of wander around the gym. Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like he was sort of following me. But what I would do is I would go all the way round and then sort of do almost a full circle. So now I'm back looking at him, but from a different angle, which is kind of weird too, I guess.
But John, we not thinking about this option being like, can I get a quick interview, Rafa?
No, again, if I no.
Could you not be like, can I get a quick, like, can I give you, I don't know, can I get a number that I can contact, or I don't know. It would be awkward, man. It would be awkward.
It's just too much. And he's in the gym. The thing is, he's in the gym. If I saw him on the street or even the supermarket and even getting some milk, as Andy is here potentially, then I might stop him and say, listen,
any chance
I'm a journalist. Can you give me 20 seconds on Ewan playing that? Because it was just before the Davis Cup. Can you give me 20 seconds? Are you looking forward to the Davis Cup? And he says, first of all, he says, okay, 20 seconds, let's say. I go, good. What's the Davis? What's going to happen? I'll probably be all nervous. I go, what is the Davis Cup? And he'd be like, but that would make good.
It would make good content. Yeah,
good content. Journalists ask Rafa, what's the Davis Cup? And he'll just do that one, and that would be the end of the interview.
Yeah.
But no, the gym is sort of out of bounds, really.
It is. No, I do understand. And like, if he turned you down or told you to fuck off, then it would be you'd never forgive yourself, would you? But
never meet your heroes and all that.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have a quick look at my notes. What else have I got? Medi, disappointment with Tick, Djokovic, Faria, and Djokovic, Tick. Andy Murray losses at the AO. I'm really bringing down the
brutal.
Yeah.
Harsh. Is this the way that we're gonna
can you take some funny moments or positivity? There is a great picture of Murray, and I'm gonna get it up on the screen. Do you know the picture I'm gonna show you? Can you guess? Andy Murray, Australian Open.
Is it Australian Open final?
Yes, it's a picture
with Novak.
Yes. One where he's in the background.
Where he's in the background for sure. Absolutely.
What year?
Yeah,
was that? 2015, maybe.
Oh God! I mean, he was in like 655 finals against Novak.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the same with all these. It's similar to what we said about Medvedev. Like Andy Murray's record at the Australian Open is objectively incredibly good, right? It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, this is, by the way, this is how you're a teenager and you have met a girl and the school disco, and you've flirted a bit with each other. In fact, she's sort of shown you signs that she might become your girlfriend, and you're very excited.
And
You
then you
get all
see,
you get your best gear on for that
yeah,
Friday night disco. You go there, and at the end of the night, she's slow dancing with someone else. And
John,
that's
John,
Novak
that sounds quite like a detailed story, like from the heart. There, I'm actually.
Yes,
Do you need to talk about that a little bit?
Louise Nutt. I still remember.
She'll be watching the show right now, John.
Yeah,
But
of course she will be. Yeah, we got millions tuning in.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting tournament for Andy, of course. Like, you know, it's I always think about the fact as well that he went on to make so many finals at the Australian Open. And like after winning like the US Open, he never reached another final at the US Open, and it's so interesting. Like, he was never again in a final of the US Open, despite winning it, and despite it being his first major, and yet he was in the final of the Australian Open like 5 years after that, and he just never won it. And you know, it's so interesting for me that you know he's now back a year later. Has anybody had a quicker turnaround from a career to coach than this? Like, it is weird. It
Did
is.
he
It
lose
is.
first round last year?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Don't ask me who to. Don't ask
No,
me who
I
to.
mean the year
but
before was the memorable one, wasn't it,
definitely.
with Kokinakis and
For sure.
Berrettini, those
I
five
mean,
sets.
I do feel like last year's Australian Open almost set the tone for the year. I remember
Yeah.
him saying before last year that, like, you know, he would probably call it quits if results weren't treating him well, and
Yeah.
like, I mean, that he just got blown off the court in straight sets to somebody watching. I know the two people watching. Somebody will give me a reply.
Tell us in the live chat, who did Andy Murray
Who
lose
Andy
to?
Murray lost to. I deleted it from my memory. It was a bad loss for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that really set the tone for it, and that, you know, was early signs where he was like, this is not good for me. So I think the Australian Open's been a super important tournament for a number of different reasons for him. Obviously, he was close to winning it, huge amount of time, and it also, you know, gave him an early indication that, you know, last year was going to be his last, especially following, I should say, the Kokonakis match, the Berrettini match the year before. So, yeah, it's an interesting tournament, but it's weird. I mean, I'm sure you agree. It's surreal seeing him sitting on the side of the court coaching Novak, right? Like,
Sure.
when that happened, that photo you threw up on the screen earlier, like when that happened, it was just like, what's going on? Like, I can't comprehend what we're seeing here, and also it'd be fascinating to hear what he is saying to him. Right? Would you not love to know that? Novak in
Yeah,
the
are we
press
not
conference.
getting much mic action there then? There's not a mic nearby?
Novak got asked about it in his press conference, and he said he quite likes this change. He quite likes this change, but he would not necessarily be in favor of any microphones being close for obvious reasons, like, rivals hear this, you know, his opponents are watching and hear it, and, you know, get some sort of insight from that, which is obvious, but yeah, it is bizarre. Like, that's Andy Murray sitting there, and that's Novak on the same team. Like, so weird.
I think because they're peers, and that's not to say that Novak didn't have immense respect for Goran, but because they're peers, it feels a bit more like this conversation I remember pretty clearly. It was after the roof had closed, and it was probably sometime around about the third set against Jaime, and you could just see, you know, Novak walks away like sort of nodding his head, isn't he, from whatever Andy has said.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a bit more like that, rather than we know the exchanges between him and Goran were somewhat more different. But again, maybe it's because of different nationalities. Maybe the dynamic as well, I think, between Andy and Novak has always been pretty nice and friendly and all that. And I'm sure, I'd say it's very different with Goran, but Goran was a bit. I'm just trying to, maybe because they were, you know, okay, they're not both in the same country, Serbia, Croatia, but you know, similar part of the world, and a lot of cultural similarities. And maybe maybe you go to a bar in Belgrade or in Split, and everyone's just shouting at each other. You want another beer?
Yeah,
yes, I do.
It is so fascinating. I saw a great comment about this exact interaction. Because if you watch the entire thing, you see Andy like making the backhand, like doing the backhand, like something. He was like, he's talking to Novak doing that.
Yes, that's
somebody.
right.
And one of the comments I saw, it's just like, Andy is 100% saying right here, your backhand is shit, mate. Your backhand shit. You need to be improving the backhand. And Novak saying back, oh, what can I do about that, coach? And Andy's just like, you need to be working on it. You just need to be improving the backhand. That is the entire conversation. Is Andy just telling Novak that his backhand shit? To be fair, I think his backhand was all right in the match, as far as I can remember. But
I mean, it was okay, but
wow,
yeah.
no,
That's him as,
a
just
visual.
saying hi to Goran. Yeah, That's obvious, right?
Screaming up at him. I mean, you know, if a match really isn't going his way, and who knows, we might see it tomorrow. I will be interested to see how he does react. You know, and obviously, you know, the matches, the first and second round matches weren't easy for sure. But you know, when he started turning things around a little bit, you did, you know, even have a sense, even if it's true what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm not entirely sure how he won the second round, even when he was winning it. You did always feel like he was going to turn it around and win it. But yeah, when a match, if he's going to be going down 2 sets and a break, like, it's really going to be interesting to see how he handles that. You know, if he goes and talks to Andy more, if he, you know, flips the lid a little bit at him. Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, and we'll definitely see it happen at some point for sure, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Exciting insight for sure. But that's your prediction. I can't believe you've titled that.
No,
You
I
loved
mean,
that. You loved titling that, didn't you?
No,
You
no.
loved,
Honestly,
you knew it. You knew
know.
that would get that would get
Of course,
people
that is
clicking.
true, Scott. I know that. You know,
Yeah.
you could write, you know, Djokovic is the GOAT, okay? Or you could say
Sure.
Djokovic is not the GOAT, you know? And
Yeah.
both of those videos will be extremely popular and they'll upset half the population and through the other half, get hundreds of clicks, hundreds of you know, views and so on.
Do you stand by that, what you said there? That Farry was a better player against
Wait, you don't listen. That sentence isn't finished.
Okay, so how does it finish?
Look,
What's
it says something like at times or
but you knew it would
no,
come up.
no.
You
I
knew it
would,
would come
I would
up.
rather no because
Everyone watching. This is John Silk right here. He knows how to work this YouTube
But you've got to
algorithm.
watch the video. I mean, listen,
Sure.
you've got to watch the video. And in
Okay.
the video, I basically talk about this 20-minute period when Jaime Fourier was the better player. I think that's a fair assessment of the match. And Djokovic himself said, you know, he played lights out and it was difficult for, you know, that half an hour period because he was serving second serves as first serves and was playing lights out tennis. That's what I said. And I said, yeah. But my biggest problem is that, of course, he could win the Australian Open. But I'm confident enough. That's not, you know, can he win the Australian Open? Yes. Do I think he's winning the Australian Open? No. But it's a bit stronger than I don't think he's winning it. I'm pretty sure he's not winning it.
You're like 90% sure.
Yeah, something like that. You've got to be something like I can't do that video with a 60%, 70%.
Yeah. You've got to be nearing 100.
This topic, by the way, of doing clickbait stuff, it's something I see a lot. I see it probably even more on YouTube than in other media. But yes, of course, I know that Iga Swiatek, Novak Djokovic, probably even more than Novak. Let's talk about Iga, Emma, and now even Fonseca. For whatever reason, they're dividing opinion. Even Fonseca in the early stages of his career, and I know, of course, if Damien and Eddie, for example, or Jack and Nick, they're talking about Fonseca for 5 minutes, or Iga or Emma. Whatever they say, I think to myself, that 5 minutes would be good, and I'll take it out of the longer video and make it a separate video. So that is me, of course, being aware of numbers. Then, of course, I hear what they say, and they say something like, you know, Emma's showing signs of, you know, her US Open form. There's a headline, okay, for you. Or Emma, I don't think is ever going to win another slam. There's a headline for you. Now, I think that they're just genuine takes. I think they're real and they're fine. Do I know that people are going to react to them one way or another? Yes. Do I clip it because I think it's going to be popular? Of course I do. But I'm not doing what a lot of people do with some stuff that's just basically not true. I mean, you'll get some stuff on YouTube that'll say like Serena said this about X person. You know, about maybe Goran Ivanisevic or something, or Novak or Rafa or whatever. And it's just like, actually, she didn't say anything of the sort, and it's just complete nonsense.
Yeah.
I hope I never get to those levels of.
For sure, John, and that you know, I was not implying that.
I know you. I know.
I would never be implying that. But listen, you're a smart man, and listen, there's a reason, and it's not the clickbait that this channel is on. What, like 12,000, 13,000? Are we on that right now? Is that what we're up to?
12,300,
look at us flying high, and that's because we do not clickbait our videos. That's what it is, right, Joe? That's what it is.
Indeed. All right, next question. I know we've got to come to the end now because it's getting past midnight. But if you okay for another 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Yeah.
Cool. 3 sets or 5 sets?
Oh, 5 sets, I would say.
Yeah, it's
Although
been a
you
bit, a
know,
bit of debate on Twitter today. A few people have been sort of
yeah,
disagreeing, not fairly politely with some tweets I've seen, but
I will say I have what I was gonna say like warmed to uh 3 setters. I would say like maybe cooled slightly on 5 setters. I would still say I favor them generally. But what was it? It was some, and I think it is an early. And I'm gonna say his name, and maybe people hate him, maybe people don't. But Ben Rothenberg is
yeah,
his
I know he's
his
a big fan of 3 setters. Yeah,
his take on that, which I wasn't big on at all, a few years ago, where it was like people like don't have time to watch 5 setters. And like I know there's like a player thing too, like a physicality of it, etc., etc. But like I'm a fan, so I'll speak from a fan's perspective. It is hard to sit down, like to find time,
oh,
like
of
for
course.
me to sit down and watch an entire 5 set match. And like a lot of the time I do find myself just tuning in like when I can, obviously if I'm working, etc., and just watching the final set. You know what I
Yeah, of
mean?
course.
And like I would do that, and like if a 3 set match is what like typically go like, if we're being generous, like they'll go like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. A 5 set match I'll go like, well, 5 hours regularly, because it's a 5 set match. So yeah, I've definitely cooled slightly. I will still say I favor them generally. But like now and then I'm just like, this should just not be a 3 setter, just because of time constraints for me. Like, I'm working, etc. And and yeah, people will be like, oh, but can you not watch it later? It's like, not the entire 5 set match that goes on for 4.5 hours. I just don't have time to do that.
No, but
So
that's still
yeah.
okay though. This is my thoughts on it, Scott. I mean, it's okay that you're not watching all 5 sets, especially in the first week of the slam. There's even the
Mm.
first sort of 4 or 5 rounds of the first 4 rounds of the slam, and it's not involving your favorite player. But you just sort of tune in, don't you, in that fifth set? What was it? Dan Evans, I think, was 4-love down maybe to Hachinov in New York last year and ends up winning that fifth
Mm.
set, and that's exciting. And you can flip between matches when you see that they're going into a fifth set.
But if you
Then when it
do,
go on,
just to jump in there though,
yeah, sure.
but if you do just tune in as you say, then what was the point of the previous?
I know what I
You know
know
what I
what
mean?
you mean. I know what you mean, but there's other things going on because you can tune in and tune out. Listen, what do you do? Even if it's Andy Murray in a 4 or 5 set match,
Mm.
where whatever stage of the slam, let's say it's a Grand Slam final, and he wins the fourth set, so it's now going into a fifth.
Sure.
You quickly go to the kitchen to make a cup of tea, don't you? And
For sure, absolutely. Yeah,
even
yeah,
if you come back and one of the two players has held, and by the way, you're not so far away that if there's a break point, you run back
yeah.
in
You're on back,
that
right?
first
Yeah,
game of the fifth set, if you like, if they have continued.
yeah.
But that's okay. It's a nice little moment for us to go and make a cup of tea and go, yeah,
Yeah, and
that fifth, fourth set, and
you might have a point, and I do see where you're going, because like even if you're not necessarily like it watching the entire 5 setter, that doesn't mean that the 5 setter itself doesn't matter. Like
no,
I do know what you mean.
the match today between Teen and Medvedev is also quite interesting because you can dip in and out throughout the 5 sets. And maybe I'm dipping in and out at different times to you because of my work situation, your work situation, personal life, etc.,
And that
and where we're at.
and that I guess you could argue it's quite nice, I suppose, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do see where you're coming from, and that's
You
why
might
I
have a
know.
half an hour break at work, and therefore you
Sure.
see the end of the second set, and Lerner Teen takes a 2 sets to love lead. And
Yeah.
now you've got to go back to work, but I can tune in because someone's just written to me in WhatsApp.
Sure.
Have you seen what's happened with Mehdi? And I'm like, oh, he's in trouble. So I
Yeah.
then tune in at the beginning of the second set. Mehdi goes up a break, I think, in the third set. I think Mehdi went up a break, and I'm thinking, okay, I think he's come, but then Teen breaks back quickly. Then there's that third set tiebreaker when Teen,
Yeah.
I think, has a match point, and I'm on the edge of my seat again. Then I have to go because of whatever reason. In fact, Mehdi wins that tiebreak in the third set. So I'm now thinking, okay, the momentum switch shift is here. I go, but for whatever reason, you have a chance to come back. Oh, I
Mm.
see Mehdi's on the way back. Maybe the drama's sort of gone out of the match. In fact, people were tweeting that at that time. This is a pity because it's now going to be, but it didn't stop there, and it had plenty more twists and turns. And me and
Sure.
you are interchanging in a way with us dipping in and out. Plus,
Which is
there's people in different time zones and all the rest of it.
good, yeah, absolutely. And
That was also in a situation where there was only one match on at the time as well. So,
Sure.
and I know someone said in the chat about it being like half empty, but that's because it was bloody 3 o'clock in the morning. And Claire herself knows. I think she told me about how difficult it was to get away from Melbourne at like early hours of the morning there and stuff.
For sure.
Got Scott a question here for you, Scott. By the way,
Jacob
Thoughts on Jacob Fernley?
Jacob Fernley. I'm a Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Jacob Fernley. Like, I got a chance to actually see him live. Before, I mean, I'd heard of him for sure. I had heard of Jacob Fernley before it. I played Novak at Wimbledon. I was there live for that, which was
Did you
obviously
say
great.
you played Novak?
No, no, no. I wish. I wish I
Yeah,
played
no, I
Novak.
remember. I remember you playing.
I wish I played Novak. No. Where Fernley played Novak in the first round. Was that the first round or second round? I think it might have been second round. And he took a set from him, which was incredible. But yeah, I'm big on him for sure. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where he goes. Obviously, people are naturally like, he's Scottish. He's from Edinburgh, which is pretty much where I'm from. So it's a bit strange, for sure, to see that kind of result from somebody who lives so nearby. So yeah, no, I would say I'm a big fan. His chances against Zverev, I mean, he's been playing incredibly, and he's arguably like the best. You know, he's had such a good, incredible rise for sure to the point that he's at over the past year. But I don't know if I don't know if he has it in him to beat Zverev at the moment. I think maybe he needs a bit more experience at this level. However, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see at least maybe a four setter. He took a set off Novak for sure, but now I think the expectations are slightly higher on him.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So yeah, as listen, I'd love to see him beat him in 3 sets for sure. I'd love to see him take out Zverev, but
Yeah, I would too.
my head is telling me it's probably going to be like maybe a 4 set loss, if not a straight sets loss. But we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
3 or 4 sets is probably
Yeah.
the smart money. There is one more thing I wanted to share on the screen. I'm actually just sharing that match because it's about to get underway, I think.
About to start, right? Yeah.
I think it's the only one. Look at this, Scott. Look at what we got. We got
Oh
some merch.
God.
Got some merch there. Wait, let me have it. Now, I want to know which merch you would most sort of see fitting the Barkley household. I mean, we've got a nice little sort of organic tote bag. Do not ask me what tote means. Got some weird prices, by the way, which I don't know if anyone's ever going to spend €60 on a
John, these are pretty incredible. I'm quite impressed, man.
Now a mug. Now listen. If anyone ever gets me a mug, I am over the moon. You cannot have too many mugs. You know, I have too few mugs. I mean, mugs are always getting smashed.
You want a mug and you want a coaster. That's what you want. You want the combination. That's what you want.
Well, I've got the sticker here, but that's no good, is it? Really?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a coaster. Oh no, it's a sticker. Yeah, no, you should get a coaster. You should get coasters.
Yeah.
I'd be picking
Who's
up
going to pay €17 though for a notebook? What was I smoking when I was fixing some of these prices? By the way, there's some that I think are underpriced. There's a T-shirt on here somewhere. That's like might even be this one here. No, well, not this one. 44. That's ridiculous. There's another T-shirt I've seen somewhere that I priced at like €20. Now this one here, €23. And I think I could charge. Look at that back. But look at the back of that T-shirt.
I was gonna say I'd have that. I'd have that for sure. I'd have that.
€23. Look at the back. You can't get plain white T-shirts anymore.
No. You just want
to. You can't get them anymore.
How long have these been available?
About a year. No, yeah, about a year. And I think. Listen, I know we sold a T-shirt today.
Did we actually?
We did. We sold a T-shirt.
And
I know
how many?
Well.
How many sales? How many sales?
Last I checked, 2. Last I checked, 2 in a year. In a year.
Okay.
I thought I would get an email notification, so I just assumed I'd sold 0. And then every 6 months, I would sort of just go, "Oh, I wonder if we've sold anything." We sold something, but I don't know what it was. And now I know we've sold a T-shirt. I think today because the person in the live chat is there.
Hey, Claire.
There you go.
Claire Ritchie. Hey.
Claire Ritchie. By the way, I can tell you now that Claire is a sort of part or half Scottish, and I know a lot about Claire because she's my sister.
No, really?
She lives in London.
Oh, hi, Claire.
We have different fathers. That's why she was sort of half, and her father is Scottish, and hence the Ritchie name. You know, so.
Oh, fantastic! That's very sweet of her. That's very sweet of her.
It's very sweet of her to buy the. Yeah, I mean, but also a bit sad from my perspective. I've sold 2 things, and one of them is to my sister.
Come on now.
You know, imagine we had 2 subscribers. Imagine you had 3 siblings and you had 2 subscribers, right? You'd have to figure out which sibling it was who hadn't. And you'd ask them all to subscribe, and they all said that they'd subscribe, but one of them wasn't telling you the truth.
Who's the other sale that you've had?
I don't know.
Oh, so you don't know the other one?
Maybe I'll just be wandering the streets.
I
of
was
the
gonna
tennis
say, I was
court
gonna say that's gonna happen one day, right?
I'll see someone with that black bag.
At a tennis tournament. If you see them, will you,
Or they'll be angry. They'll be angry. You know why? They'll have bought the sticker thinking it was a coaster.
What did they buy? Was it a sticker?
I
You don't know
can't
what
remember. I don't remember. I think I earned 15 euros from it. So
I will
honestly,
say,
I can't.
I will say, John, nobody's buying the sticker. Nobody's buying the sticker.
I think you
Why?
might be right.
No,
I think
nobody's coming on to the Talking Tennis store to be like in their head. I'll buy a sticker.
What would you
I'm
do?
so
What are you
sorry.
gonna do? What do you do with a sticker anyway? You
I
can't do
mean,
anything
like,
with
you
it.
can't do anything. Imagine just being like buying a singular sticker. I just feel like it's just, you're not doing
I
that.
need to send the link to this website in the live chat because everyone
Yeah,
out
for
there is
sure.
going,
Yeah.
"Wow, I need a sticker right now," and
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to sort some other stuff.
But if you do see the person with the merch like in the
Yeah.
street, you'd have to go stop. You'd have to go stop.
Oh,
them,
now then all inhibitions would go out the window, and I would be
Yeah.
like, "What would I don't know how I'd behave."
You'd have to go up.
Inside there'd be immense pride, you know.
Is there not a pretty high chance that like this person, like if they're buying merch, John, like they must be quite a big fan. Like it's there's probably a reasonable chance that they're tuning in to.
I would have thought they
some of
tuned
these
in and
videos.
probably popped in the live chat, but I would have thought if that's the case, they would have let me know. Or maybe someone bought it by mistake. Maybe there's another brand out there, and there's another brand out there called, I don't know, talking something beginning with T, maybe a sport beginning with T that isn't tennis, or talking
something or other.
tables. Talking tables. You know, this is a YouTube channel about buying tables for your house.
Yeah.
And they've got a TT thing going on, and they've got, oh, okay, yeah, I like this. I like that YouTube channel with.
And then they got it, and they were like, oh.
Well, they got it, and then they're looking at it, going, oh, he's talking tennis.
Oh, disaster! But they would still wear it.
They're so rich, Scott, that they're like, I'm not going to send it back.
They're not returning it. But if you did see them, you would have to go stop them, unless John, it was Rafa and you were in the gym, then you would not be stopping him. You would not be stopping him if he was wearing a Talking Tennis t-shirt, would you?
Oh, I think I would. I think if he would, that would tip the balance. Jane,
okay.
When did you buy it? Because if you bought it more than a week ago, it'll be you then that obviously bought this item. And that's one. If it's more than a week ago, Jane, and I'm suspecting it was, that's the one item that we'd sold in the first, let's say, year of this
year or so
been in existence. So yeah, thank you, Jane. If it was you, well, thank you, Jane. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
right.
and there we go, guys. If you're looking for stuff, if you're looking for Talking Tennis stuff, there it is. What is it? Sorry, what is the website, John? Is it just Talking Tennis?
So I've got the website itself is via something called Springsy. It's just Spring. I think it's one of these things. So it's on. You can also see it on the Talking Tennis website. If I then close the window here, so here we go. So this is the Talking Tennis website, which halfway down. We keep it up to date. Basically, at the top of the page is Eastbourne, and Surbiton from 2024. I will say. So at least we're within 7 months anyway. Look, there's João Fonseca before John McEnroe had heard of him. Look, so there's João Fonseca there, and Paul Jubb and Lloyd Harris, of course, friend of the show. Lloyd, by the way, I think would be a good guy to go for a beer with.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I imagine he'd be absolutely chilling. Yeah. But
listen, I have got one more question for you. I have got one more question.
Go.
Beer. You're going for a beer with someone. I've just said Lloyd Harris. You're going for a beer with someone on the tour. Who are you going for? I think Sabalenka would be a lot of fun.
Who am I going for a beer with?
I mean, obviously, forgetting Andy and Rafa, because
of course,
Andy. Just forget those two.
And not Novak, right? Not Novak.
Yeah, okay, not
Novak.
I'm a big
Not Novak.
Yeah.
Who am I going? You know what? It could be Medvedev, to be honest.
Yeah,
Medvedev.
I think he'd be an
absolute riot. He'd be good. Who else would be good?
I think Mukova could get a guitar out. Like David Brent.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a bit of a guitar player, but yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Daniel Collins might be.
She'd get
up for a party. She'd be up for a party.
I think so.
Dan Evans, that is a good shout in the chat there. To be fair.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. Runa
I'm
would
looking at
want
the
to bring
chat.
his mum along, and then you'd be all sorts of. Runa would want Patrick Mouratoglou. I know he's not coaching him anymore, but he'd be like,
Mm.
"Yeah, sure, we can go out, but Patrick's coming. Half of Patrick's team is coming. We've got to wear, we're not wearing talking tennis merchandise. We're wearing Patrick Mouratoglou merchandise. Like
Yeah.
Mouratoglou's a billionaire. You don't wear some. Give me some.
Yeah. That's not happening for me. I'm not. Yeah. No.
Claire's going for Medi as well. We're bringing it full circle.
Yeah. Medi would be alright. Yeah. Rude. No, absolutely not.
Not
He'd
for
be
you,
lame.
but I wouldn't mind. But
Yeah,
I
she
think,
would, John.
yeah.
John, you don't want to admit it to your audience, but yeah, she would.
Let me get the ATP rankings up on the
Yeah,
website. It
come on.
makes it a little bit easier, and I'll share it with you on the screen.
Deminar might be quite good, to be honest. He'd
Yeah,
be.
I think Carlos
good.
could be good.
Carlos would be alright. Yeah. Although he'd be maybe a bit of a stickler for.
I don't know. I don't know if you see him getting drunk after the French Open. I think he sort of spent 3 days in Ibiza, and okay, he's a bit younger, so maybe you let him. You go for a beer with him in the Irish pub, and then he goes out with his mates club, and almost like you're the father of his, if you like. But I think he's all right.
Fritz is a bit of a
Dimitrov,
lad.
no. Yeah, but
Dimitrov,
Dimitrov, no.
Dimitrov, no. Mizzetti? Mizzetti might be quite fun.
You could go out with Lorenzo.
Tiafo,
Definitely.
Tiafo would. Bublik.
Hubert Hurkacz, no. Jack Draper, come on.
Jack Draper would be good fun. Yeah.
And you know why I'm saying come on? Because of that car thing with Andy Murray, of course, that was fun. Because I don't think Andy either he doesn't drink at all or barely drinks, right?
Yeah, barely. I think he barely. Maybe he does now. Who knows? Maybe he enjoys a wee drink now.
So that was what made that even more amusing for me. Obviously, with the whole thing with Andy as well, but knowing that Andy doesn't really drink, but Jack obviously does.
Yeah,
that was quite funny. Ben would be fun, and I think his father's cool. And if Ben said, "Do you mind if my father comes as well?" I'd be like, "Fine." I've actually sort of come across him a few times and not spoken to him exactly, but I've had a few smiles and I even had a wave once. Not that it's a bit weird that I sort of went like that and he sort of waved back. His father did. In Mallorca last year. Artifice.
Be good fun. Yeah, he'd be alright. Bublik is probably the best shout that we've had so far, to be honest.
Yeah, Bublik. I'm a bit wary of. So Lloyd Harris, for example, I think would be good, but I'm a bit wary of going out with really, really good-looking people.
Oh, like, for sure. I mean,
you can you imagine? You and Lloyd are there having a beer and then just you lose him for half the night because he's
he's disappeared, right?
Yeah, because I'm not as entertaining as somebody else.
You need an everyman. You need an everyman to be going for a drink with, somebody who you can just sit with and not be distracted and not be, not feel overshadowed by too much. Despite the fact that all professional. Monfils, that is a shout.
Monfils good shout. There's probably about 20% of that top 100 that are in the conversation, in the mix, if you like.
Yeah.
I think I'm still, if you force me into it, I still think I'd go Medi. And I think Sabalenka on the women's side, a lot of fun there. And I know she likes a drink because she's referenced it a few times. And so, and of course she'd want to dance at some point, but then she would dance quite badly. So that would be all part of the fun. Well, actually,
that would be a part of it.
She's okay with the coordinated one. And by the way, I think some of her team are quite interesting. I've had 2 members of her team on the show at one point or another. One is a really, really dry American guy, but he's good. He's good copy. He gives good answers to questions and stuff. And then there's a stats guy called Shane Leonage. But back to Arena, yes. So Ons maybe not. Maybe she doesn't drink, but that doesn't matter. Well, I can have a beer and she can have.
Yeah, she'd be so happy with it. She'd just be happy to be there, wouldn't she? To be fair, she'd just be loving it. But yeah.
All right, I think that's it, Scott. We're done because there's a match. This match is underway.
Tennis has been played right now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
all these people on the channel, go watch the tennis, guys. Go watch the tennis.
Does Laura Siegmund sort of, because we've mentioned before how we like some of the, what's the word, Mavericks, isn't it? Does
absolutely.
She fit Maverick sort of?
I think she does. To be fair,
I think she gets way too much grief.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people getting annoyed with her for celebrating in a big way the day for her win over Qin Wenxiang.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The whole celebration handshake debate will go on for as long as tennis is a thing. But I'm a fan of her for sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's started right now. Oh my god, there we go.
Yeah, there you go. That started, and that's the only match underway. And there's another one at 1:30, I think, starting or 12:30 your time. All right, Scott, great to have you on. We've had you on twice now during this tournament, and it's just perfect for this show.
Okay.
There was one word you used near the beginning that was long and difficult, but other than that, you stuck to the protocol of not using complicated language on this show. But I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't remember what the word was, but it was like it was a long one.
If it comes back to you, let me know. I don't use long words.
Well,
that
I
often,
could
so,
find it quite quickly, so probably at the end of the show I'll because it was right at the beginning.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for that. Make sure you check
Thanks,
out
folks.
Scott and his content if you want to listen to Murray Musings, and give Scott a follow on social media at BarclayCard18. I think it is. Is that right?
It is indeed.
There you go.
There
There we go. I'll share on the screen one more time for you as well. But everyone else, I've got to find the button. You're going to keep holding that position.
Yeah, I'll keep
Here we
going.
go. 3, 2, 1. Ciao.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.